What's up, War Report family? It's your boy C-Dub on a very difficult Sunday afternoon because 2 weeks into a much anticipated second year of the Hugh Freeze era, we're still talking about quarterbacks. You see the title. Let's get ready to talk about it.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Joe, Be Will, Mike G. You are now listening to.
We want to show love to those who show love to us. We would encourage you to do the same. You can do that by heading over to goldenscastiron.com/WR and use code Get Your Weight Up to get 15% off of weights, or code TWR to get $65 off of a fire pit or Kamado grill. Definitely show our show sponsors some love there, and thanks to them for sponsoring today's show. Also, thanks to you all who will share this video, smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel. And Mike, what are some announcements you got for those who want to become part of the Green Name Gang?
Listen, it's only week 2, and yesterday may have been disappointing, but I promise you, I can't promise you it's going to get better, but I can promise you that we're going to be here for you every step of the way. You can be here for us by joining as a patron member. I think I saw a sign up, Ike, Caesar already. So please continue to do that. We're going to be covering this thing at a high level, man. If Auburn makes a bowl game, Ike and I will be there. Ike is going to go out to Cameron Indoor. Look at me committing this man to stuff. He's going to want to go out to Cameron Indoor.
Definitely want to
Auburn versus Auburn versus Duke. But look, man, these memberships help us continue to bring you guys the coverage that you want. You can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. We appreciate you guys for doing that. Look, if you were in town for the game and you wanted something great to eat after, Vintage 2298 Restaurant and Butcher Shop has you covered. Please go visit them at 2298 East University Drive. Also, check us out on podcasts, guys. Every single podcast platform. We're there. Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, Just a Sec, bringing you lots of great audio-only content. And last but certainly not least, like I don't know how you guys like to handle things after the game, but there's a different graphic in here. I'll tell you guys after.
Okay.
I'll tell you guys at the break.
I went in the mood for that, Mike. Let's talk about it. Mike, you jumped in during the post game with some of your thoughts. You have more. You've actually taken time to rewatch the game again. I salute you for being able to stomach that. Ike, we have not seen your thoughts. You was actually there covering the game yourself. Some general thoughts about what you observed with this Auburn team now that we're here the day after.
Yeah, man. I really only have one thing to say.
That's the Winans.
Yeah.
That's the one. For those who don't know, that's the Winans.
Yeah. The title of the song says it's time.
It's time.
And the lyrics say it's time to make a change.
Time to change your life.
We are his people.
Time to get it together.
Who can do it?
Man, they gotta figure something out, man. This is ridiculous. 2 years in a row versus Cal, Auburn has decided they don't want the football. Let's just give it to Cal and see what they could do with it. This has been ridiculous football for 2 years straight versus this same football team, and I am completely confused as to what I watched Saturday. I watched this Cal team look pathetic versus UC Davis. I watched this Cal team look very beatable. And I said before the game, they probably score about 21. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was going to happen. Thought it was going to be 14, and then they'll score a late touchdown. That's exactly what happened in this game. They had 14 points, scored a late touchdown. What I didn't anticipate was the Auburn offense deciding, we don't want to actually be good and play football. We'll go out here and just throw 5 picks, one of them being overturned with a defensive pass interference,
A phantom call, by the way.
and fumble the ball. That's what Auburn decided to do. I watched us sit there and see a run game in the first 2 quarters that looked like it was going through spring practice. Like day one, it looked like day one install stuff. Like it didn't look as if there was a game plan that says this is how we want to attack Cal. No, they were just like, oh, we're just going to run our stuff. Let's just go out here and run our stuff. That's not what you're supposed to get with a 5th-year starting quarterback, with a senior running back. You're supposed to be able to go out here and run things that allow you to attack a defense specifically for how you feel as if they're going to prepare for you. I didn't see any of that. And I think the success of the first drive and how it went made them say, all right, well, we can just do what we normally do and we'll be fine. It was ridiculous. And I'm starting to wonder, is there a limit to the leash? We'll get into it. Is there a limit to the leash for the quarterback position? Or is it always going to be, well, everything wasn't perfect around the quarterback, so we have reason to believe it can get better? Starting to wonder.
Fair question. Mike, any additional thoughts you want to add to that before we get
I got a
into
ton of
these
additional thoughts because we don't get to see much. We're at the game. We don't get to see much at the game. You guys see way more at home than we see sitting in the box a lot of the times. And I got a chance to rewatch, and I can tell you it was worse. It was worse than it felt in the stadium. Now, in the first half, Ike and I were sitting next to each other, and we were like, yeah, I don't get why everybody's pinning all of the first half problems on Thorne. I stand by that. I don't think that the first half was completely on him. The problem with Peyton Thorne is that because the play calling was the way it was and the game plan I did not understand, right? What they did last week, there was no semblance of that this week. I'm going to say that again. There was no semblance of what they did last week this week. They came in with that same old conservative bullshit that they did last year, and Cal just loaded the box up to stop them. Now, I spoke with Brandon Marcello. I talked to Ike. I talked to Jay Crane. All these smart football minds said the exact same thing. Despite what you saw last week, what's on tape still is make Thorne prove he can beat you. And A&M wasn't a good enough litmus test for anybody to change their strategy about it. So that's what Cal did. I'm shocked that they didn't try to spread them out a little bit more.
Right.
I'm shocked at the lack of utilization of the playmakers that you put at the 2 deep. So what we heard for a week and a half, we heard it doesn't matter who goes out there first. Sure seems like it matters who goes out there first now. Because a lot of dudes rode the pine and did not get a chance to contribute in this one. Tight ends were a non-factor in this game. Brendan Frazier had one good catch, I think, on a rollout up the sideline where he picked up 10 plus. Rivaldo Fairweather had the catch for about 13 on the first drive. Outside of that, what did the tight ends do in this one? Every time Auburn went into 12 personnel, this offense became inept. Then they came out in the second half and they tried to establish the run, which is fine. But you still have to be able to mix it up. It was like they went extreme heavy the other direction. Eventually, Cal figured it out. Now, in the postgame, Luke Deal admitted to missing a block that eventually led to a Jarquez Hunter fumble. Luke, I always appreciate accountability. But at this point, your most senior people on this team are holding you back. Now, you guys know I love Jarquez Hunter. But regardless of the missed block, that fumble was costly. Ike, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was one of the points off turnovers that they got.
Yes.
They scored
the
off that
next play.
turnover.
They scored the next play.
So you had a defense that held a whole P5 offense to about 350 something yards of total offense, and you lost. But as far as I'm concerned, that defense really only gave up 7 points in that game, which is what I was expecting. You handed them 14 on 2 short fields. Give Cal's quarterback credit. Nobody seems to want to do it right now in the fan base.
He played out of his mind. Like, I was just like, yo, this dude looks like Aaron Rodgers right now.
They dared him to make plays in front of him, and he made every play in front of him.
He made the throws that were there. And if Peyton Thorne had played that way, nobody would be saying, oh, but it was just the DBs played off. So give the man his credit. He went out there and he took what was there. I hope he's okay. I don't know if we got an update on his knee injury. He had a non-contact knee injury sometime in the fourth quarter, had to go out. But look, man, the defense played well enough to win that game. Here's yet another game. Auburn could not reach 21 points and lost. On the last drive, you had a chance to drive the ball down the field. There should have been no hurry. You had plenty of time. The desperation in that interception throw, I did not get.
The next to the last drive, the very last drive, it was like
correct, yeah. The last realistic drive,
the one where he threw the pitch, trying to throw the Cam call.
Yeah, you had just under 3 minutes left in the game. Clock still stops on the first down. You had time to get down to the field and draw something up. That throw to Cam felt like desperation, and Auburn shouldn't have been there. You had time to work the middle of the field, and this whole 50-50, 80-20 ball thing, man, that was 80-20 for sure, but in the defense's favor. So this, again, I understand that Peyton didn't play well, and I want everybody to understand that I understand he did not play well in this game. But I'm telling you, there were still systemic issues there that I thought they had cleaned up, and they didn't. So in the spring, when everybody got out my throat about saying maybe 7-5 is the ceiling, this is what I was afraid of. And I got convinced that it was going to be different because, damn it, no matter how many people think I'm not an Auburn fan anymore, I still got a lot of bug in me. But I fight the realism that you have to have when you're watching certain things. And this is another one of those Hugh Freeze's inexplicable losses. He's good for 1 a year. Hopefully this is it. No more, please. No more this year. It wasn't a G5 loss. But I'll tell you what, I'm not on the fire Hugh Freeze train. I think that talk is ridiculous. But I do think it's okay to talk about what went wrong and why these things keep going wrong. Cal is not more talented than you. Where were the wide receivers yesterday? Because you scapegoated them all last year. So what was the issue yesterday?
It's almost like, is this a bipolar program? Because 1 week you look completely different, and then the next week you revert back at the worst time.
Caesar, all last year I tried to tell anybody who would listen that the wide receivers are not as bad as everyone's making them out to be. And there are system issues that are really, really hindering their progress. And everyone's, they suck. Yesterday was a great example of what I was talking about, because I don't want to hear any talk about the talent. None, zero. Cam Coleman is not a bust. Keandre Lambert-Smith is clearly a stud. As a matter of fact, on that slant, that inside slant that he threw, that Payton threw to him, I was a little worried that the DB was going to beat Keandre to the spot. It was early. I think it was on the first drive. It was early in the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was a bullet.
Yeah.
And it looked like the DB was going to beat him to the spot, man. And he just instant transmission to the spot, caught the ball. I'm like, whoo, that was close. So, it's not the talent. I think that I think system has a lot to do with it. And you have to find something. They're going to have to find a quick passing game. I'm telling you. I didn't see it yesterday, but they're going to have to find a quick passing game if this O-line doesn't get better. And we'll talk about that later. But, look, man, the O-line did not have a good day. I think Xavier Miller was the highest graded O-lineman yesterday.
And he got hurt.
He got hurt.
Yeah. So it was rough. It was really rough. But if that's how they're going to pass protect, Auburn's going to have to change the way they approach this offense and this play calling, because yesterday wasn't it. It just wasn't it. And if you're going to run as much 12 personnel as they want to run, they're going to have to figure out how to make the tight ends more of a pass catching threat in this offense. So, yeah, I can't wait for Ike's watch the film. If you're not a member, it'd probably be member only. But like, yeah, I'm sure he will point out all the things that need to be looked at.
Well, Hugh Freeze was asked about the QB room, Peyton Thorne. Where do we go from here? Here's his thoughts in the post game.
Well, I have to watch the film first before I really say. I mean, we struggled to protect him tonight a lot. We had guys running wide open and really struggled to protect, and it hurt when Tutal got banged up and he tried to go and he couldn't, and so we struggled to protect him some. So I'd rather watch the film and then talk about it Monday on exactly his play at quarterback.
So, Mike G, are you going to ask him on Monday, now that he's watched the film?
You have to ask the question Monday,
like,
after he's watched the film. What are we doing here at quarterback? Like, someone has to ask.
No one didn't ask yesterday.
Yeah. Like, if it was, I think it's hard in post game because you always know he's going to say, "I got to go back and look at the tape."
Sure.
Right. Harsin was like that. Gus was like, you know what I mean? Like almost every coach, if you ask him an extremely detailed question, right? He's good. He's going to, especially in a loss, he's going to say, "I got to go back and look at the tape." In a win, he might say, "Yeah, there were some things out there that I saw," but in a loss, definitely it's going to be like, we know what he's going to say. But yes, if it does not get asked, and I'm telling you, I feel so strongly about this. If someone asks the question, but I'll be clear here, they ask it stupidly, I'm going to ask again, just to follow up. And I think that it's fair. Now, Ike went back and timed it. It was a 5 minutes and 8 seconds, Ike.
5 minutes, 8 seconds.
Was that post game? I'm a little disappointed that there weren't more questions asked in that. It ended sort of abruptly. Shelley was like, "Hey, does anybody have any more questions?" And then Hugh got up and left. But there are a ton of questions, I think, that should have been asked in that about what the plan was. I mean, that was my question. My question was, hey, like, you knew they were going to load the box on you. So, like, what was the approach there? Did it fall apart? What we saw was in the second half, we saw DJ Durkin adjust. Keldrick Faulk started to get off. They started to disrupt what Cal was trying to do offensively. And they came up with stop after stop, and then the offense just turned the ball right back over to them. So where were the adjustments on the offensive side of the ball? Because, again, I leave the watch the film stuff to Ike, but, like, to me, I on rewatch last night, I didn't see where they really tried to do anything different other than just kind of like running the ball to open the second half until they stopped it, and then they didn't have a plan. What was the plan? And what will be the plan moving forward? Because everybody's just going to look at this tape, and I hate this. You're about to go up again. You have not even hit SEC play yet. This is why teams like Georgia are so many light years ahead of Auburn. They opened up with Clemson. I'll be back.
I say for some reason Mike's camera blacked out right there.
Ike, I don't know if this is the time to actually have that conversation, but it's we're asking, is it okay? Mike's back.
Yeah, they opened up with Clemson and figured it out mid-game. It looked a little rough to start, but eventually Georgia was Georgia. Now, does Hugh Freeze need a little bit more time to do that? It's just hard, man, because, there was a hard push. A lot of people thought that Auburn would go after Cam Ward, right? And it's tough. It's tough watching this and then watching Cam Ward do what he's doing at Miami right now. And I think they opened up with Florida. So, he decided to go this route, and I was on board with it because I thought, like, look, it's going to get better, right? Like, the bar was on the floor last year. And it seemed like in the first quarter it was headed the right direction. They got a little bit of a reprieve on that first drive that almost ended because that ball hit the ground. He threw that pass to Keandre Lambert-Smith for the touchdown was well placed. Even better play by Keandre, by the way. Probably the play of the game for Auburn to reestablish and get. I mean, that touchdown would have been good in the NFL. He was 10 toes down on that one. And then after that, nothing. One big pass to Cam Coleman up the sideline, but for the most part, Cam didn't even have a shot. The communication between the coaches on the last, there's just a lot of questions here that I have about how the lack of adjustments in the second half. And I plan to ask that Monday. I hope I get more. Sometimes I get more than one question. But we'll see. I hope that everybody sacks up and asks the hard questions on Monday. I do.
I have a feeling that Monday's press conference, Coach Hugh Freeze is going to try to be as proactive as possible and address things that he knows he's going to hear.
Opening statement,
yeah. But I do, to your point, hope that everyone who attends, because we were sitting and talking about it before we got on. Last night's press conference actually wasn't even fully attended by the media. Like, it was some split and went to go talk to Coach Wilcox from Cal. I hope, because that Monday press conference is more heavily attended, I hope that people are coming prepared to ask hard questions, because Coach Hugh Freeze has some hard decisions he needs to make. And the fan base wants to hear what his mindset is going into that decision-making process this week, because honestly, right now is the time to make a pivot if you're going to, because you cannot pivot to any of the inexperienced quarterbacks that you have in the midst of SEC play. It's not fair to those young men. The only other opportunity that you're going to have to do this is the bye week heading into Missouri, because you'll at least get 2 weeks of prep time for that Missouri game. But you're still throwing an inexperienced quarterback in their first true playing experience versus Power 4 competition on the road in what will essentially be a must. Because here's and let me break down the scenario in which leads to this, right? If you haven't made that decision to say, all right, we're going to split reps versus New Mexico, if you've then subsequently made the decision, okay, now we've got to make that change, you've got another 1 or 2 losses already between New Mexico and Missouri.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that I can't foresee. And this is, let me pause right here, because he's going to blow a gasket if I don't acknowledge that this is what Ant Robinson has been saying the entire time. Peyton Thorne was going to go out there and play poorly versus Cal. What I have been asking in retort to that is, okay, how bad does it need to be for Coach Hugh Freeze to want, not for fans to want to, because we know a lot of the fan base was ready to pivot off of him before the season started. How bad does it need to be for the coach to decide we're going in a different direction at quarterback? I'm not sure. I'm
making my point last night.
This game was the end of the road for that decision-making process.
That's what I tried to tell Dylan last night.
New Mexico is going to be our get-right game, and then we're going to go into playing Arkansas and see what we got there. I feel like that because, again, I've watched Coach Hugh Freeze's career.
A loss to an SEC team. Probably gets the conversation
but the
started.
problem is with that is that puts you at Oklahoma if you lose to Arkansas.
Yeah.
And
but
then
I think this coaching staff is willing to take it there. I think they're willing to take it there, Mike.
Yeah. This is the conversation that's been being had in our live chat for months now. All summer. If Peyton doesn't get it together, how far into the season are you going to go before a change is made? And do they have? And again, I thought B was going to join us today, but I admire the coaches who can who can pull quarterbacks who are playing average, okay enough to win, but not great, and put in the better guy or put in another guy. Let's not forget, even though Jalen Milroe finished as a fringe Heisman QB candidate last year, he got pulled
early. Like early in the season, they was like, "Yo, bro, like this."
Hey, actually, around this time,
they sat his ass down.
Around this time last year, he got pulled.
What more is it going to take?
Yeah.
You recruited Hank Brown to Liberty, and he followed you here. So that's your guy. But how much further are we going to go with this if this doesn't change? And look, guys, I went all in on Peyton Thorne. I thought that he would be better.
Yeah. And to be clear, this is almost a mirror scenario. Now, it is game 3, but the South Florida game was kind of their, all right, this is our get right game. This is our opportunity to pivot in a different direction with the quarterback. So you have been gifted by the schedule gods an opportunity, a reprieve for, we gave you your shot, young man, and it's not working. You had the entirety of last season to figure it out. And
spring.
We went through and we changed the offensive play caller who you didn't like. We got you different weapons on the outside. We went and upgraded the talent on the offensive line. We went and got we figured out how to bring back all our tight ends that we like because we felt like that. You have literally eliminated every single excuse. There's only 2 places left to go with the excuse game: the coach and the quarterback. Which one of you guys is taking the bullet this week?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. It got set up last night for the offensive line to take the bullet.
Okay, I mean, but I'm saying, but that offensive line was going to be who they were going into the season.
Well, right, because they said that they had questions about the shuffle and the position and all this stuff. I tried to ask this question last week about this, and kind of skipped around it. But I'm like, hey, listen, I understand that you can't rotate at offensive line necessarily, but do you feel good about your rotations? I don't think he understood my question, so I didn't get a good answer to it. But last night, we didn't protect Peyton. But I'll tell you what, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Only one of those interceptions was Peyton Thorne hit or hurried. From what I could see last night.
He got hit on the second interception.
There was one to Keandre Lambert Smith that I thought that he got.
The one that he got hit on. It
was kind of like a diving right around midfield.
Yeah.
So, turnovers lost you the game. So we're clear.
100%.
Turnovers lost you the game.
If you don't have 5 turnovers in this game, because you got gifted again a kicker that doesn't know how to kick for some reason, and you get the ball back and you turn the ball over right back to them and give them a short field, which they score their second touchdown on.
Yeah.
Then you subsequently get another fumble later in the game, which led to a touchdown, which put the game out of reach.
Right. So if you have an O-line that is having trouble in pass protection, and this is what I used to say when Bo was here, and why I had so much disdain for Gus is that you need to call a game that covers your O-line at least to some extent.
Yeah.
And here's my fear about why we may not see Hank Brown is because if the O-line is being viewed as the primary issue, well, Hank Brown can't move back there as well as Peyton can. So is the reasoning for keeping him on the bench going to be, well, he's a sitting duck back there behind this O-line, so we got to stick with Peyton.
Unless
but you got to call the game differently for Hank
Brown actually gets the ball out of his hands and doesn't sit back there and wait to see
that time and
who's going to
come
open.
Not time and again, but the time he's been out
5 seconds into the play, he's just going to get to his back at the back of his drop and let the ball go.
But some of that has to do with play calling, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. Like
some of it, but a lot of it has to do with decision making.
Yeah, you got to give him some quick options. In like again, where was the quick passing game?
Yeah,
last night they're killing you on the rush. Figure out a way to get the ball out. You knew your O-line was a problem going into this game. Now, the only thing I can think of, arrogance got them. You thought you were going to be able to dominate this team and have a couple more weeks to figure out your O-line issues. And Cal had a good game plan, but you knew they were going to do it. He said it. So I don't, like I said, they're setting this up for the O-line to take the fall, and I'm not saying that they played well. I'm not saying that they played well at all. So before anybody goes off and says, oh, Mike G never wants to blame the O-line, I'm not saying they played well. I'm just saying there's enough blame to go around, and not all of those turnovers were because Peyton was running for his life.
Correct.
Right? That throw to Cam Coleman with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left.
But the Cam Coleman interception is a perfect example of coaching let those young men down at strategic points in this game. Why, if Cam Coleman is asking to come out of the game because he has a shoulder injury, do you send him? I get it. Like, we got to be in hurry up mode or whatever, and you don't want to let them substitute, blah, blah. But if you've got helmet communications, right? Because this is what Coach Free said in the post game. He's not sure Peyton Thorne knew Cam Coleman was hurt on the play, and he threw it to him anyway. But you can talk to him and say, hey, Cam's hurt. Don't go to him on this one.
Or coach on the Caesar made this point before we started. Or coach can say, fall down, young man. Fall down.
You have a built-in timeout if he falls down.
Yeah, just fall
and
down.
He's hurt. It's not like he's faking an injury. He's hurt.
He was actually hurt. You know,
fall down, and you got a gifted timeout. You're borrowing a timeout to figure things out moving forward.
Yeah.
So again, coaching let them down to a degree on that one, but the throw was still awful.
Yeah, it was 80-20 in the
He underthrew that throw by at least 2 yards.
He had
at least 2
where
yards.
He was going.
A healthy Cam Coleman would have had to make an amazing play.
He would have had to jump 3 feet off the ground and then mossed the dude to catch that ball. 3 feet and then
again, I'm not taking the blame away from Peyton Thorne, but I'm saying there's enough blame to say coaches let the team down.
Yes.
In that scenario. And I don't understand, because again, this isn't last year where, we're not speaking the same language and everybody does. How do you not make a decision better than that? And that is one of the more inexcusable things that I saw when you need it the absolute most, and you have every tool available to you to avoid this. You can tell the player to go down. You can sub him out really quickly because he's right there on your sidelines. Not like got to run all the way across the field. You can talk to the quarterback in his helmet. You have 3 surefire ways to make sure that play never happens, and you take 0 of them. And then your quarterback throws a duck to add insults to the injury that just happened to your wide receiver on the play before, because you got him killed on the play before, which is why his shoulder was hurt.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah, it was that sequence I don't know, and they're getting eaten up on social media about that clip of him with his shoulder hanging, and asking to come off and then going back in and trying to make a play, and he obviously didn't go back in the game after that. Peyton, I'm not putting out like Peyton didn't know he was hurt. It was still a bad throw regardless of who was in the game. But maybe I think there's a belief that Cam Coleman can go up and win any ball, right? That's how that pass was thrown. Like, we're just going to throw this up here and we got better dudes. Cause he talked about catch radius and all this stuff, but you still got to throw a decent ball, right? Like, I don't care how good you are. There's a pass that, even the best receivers can't get to. And if you had pulled him out of the game, maybe Peyton looks elsewhere. Because when I looked at that play, it looked like whoever was playing the slot was actually running free underneath. Like there was another pass to be made.
Yeah, no, he predetermined at the line of scrimmage. I got one-on-one with Cam Coleman. I'm just going to throw it up here and see what happens.
Yeah,
and
he did that also on that 4th and 2 on the first, on the second drive of the
entire game. The entire game, it was
DeAndre was running wide open on that 4th down pass play, and he was determined to force feed it to Cam Coleman down the sideline.
Yeah. So this is the free the free rotation we were promised. If it was actually happening yesterday, maybe this is not something that we're talking about. Now, Camden, as far as I know, not only was he asking to come off the field, but Camden Brown was running onto the field and pulled back. Right, like, so I mean, again, this was egregious on a lot of levels, right? Like, you not only did you fail, Camden knew he was hurt and was running onto the field to replace him and was pulled back. Wow, man, The fact that the game was even in a place where we're talking about this last sequence too much is so much is disappointing. That it was here in the fourth quarter at home.
My concern, Ike, is that you made a point, and I said this yesterday. Even though the untrained eye, those of us who aren't coaches at the collegiate level, can see that maybe we may need to pivot from the QB that we have. It seems to me that because a lot of other things went wrong yesterday, in addition to Peyton Thorne, that bought Peyton Thorne time he probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
That's my concern. So you're
Yeah.
saying this is the opportunity this week to at least make a pivot and see what direction we can go with the offense. I still think Coach Hugh Freeze is in the mode of fixing everything around Peyton Thorne still to ensure that he plays better moving forward.
Yeah,
I think we're still there.
I think two things have to happen, Caesar. Number one, you have to strongly consider a change at quarterback or a change of approach, right, to this offense. Okay. But even if you change the quarterback, you still need to change the approach to this offense.
I agree.
It's not as simple as just putting in another quarterback and then Hank's going to make everything magically better.
Sure. They
have to call a better offense for Hank Brown. Now, again, Peyton threw 5 passes deep outside left. He completed 1 to Cam Coleman for 44 yards. He deep middle 2 and nothing deep right. So he was 1 for 7. And Hank Brown has the best deep ball on the field. In a game like this, those 2 or 3 passes might have been the difference between winning and losing. They could have been the difference between winning and losing, connecting on those deep balls and keeping Cal honest. These receivers are good enough to get the job done. This receiver room is good enough to get the job done. But the coaches first, because it starts with play calling, and the QB have to be better for them. Now, your O-line is what it is, right? Like, I don't spend too much time complaining about O-line because you either have a good one or you don't. Right? Like, and you're not subbing out O-linemen unless there's an injury, essentially. Right? So, it is, you fix your O-line in the offseason.
We've seen effective passing attacks with average O-lines.
Yeah, I'm telling you,
all the time.
Right. So this is why recruiting is so important, and maybe Deuce. This is why you're going after a guy like Deuce Knight, because I watched Bryce Young absolutely carry an Alabama offense between the two of the absolutely worst pass blocking O-lines of the Saban era. And they've been recruiting top 2 or 3 or 1 for a decade. But even they ran into O-line troubles. It didn't stop their offense. You know what they had? They had a great quarterback, and they always had superior play calling on offense. When Sarkisian was back there calling that thing, they figured out something that would work for Bryce, and then where they lacked it, Bryce made it up. He made up the difference. So, because you don't have a Bryce Young back there, I lean heavier on coaching and play calling.
Right.
To produce something serviceable. Right. So this is where it is. And that's why I'm cautioning people against, because what I don't want Hank Brown to get in there. And then when he struggles because of what they're asking him to do, everyone beats up and says he sucks. This is the same energy I had for the wide receivers last year. Were they as good as this set? No, they were not. These guys are clearly more talented as a group. But were there problems just because they were terrible? No, man. Like I'm telling you, a majority of their problems was what they were being asked to do. That's it. And I don't know. The better programs, the programs who are consistently at the top, you see them have this stuff figured out. Auburn just needs to figure it out.
Yeah,
that's it. You're getting paid a lot of money. You're getting paid $6 million a year, dude. 1 year of that would change my whole outlook on life, brother. Get it together.
Well, listen, let's get to the break. Let's pay some bills real quick, and we're gonna read because a lot of you guys have left a lot of comments. We got to run through those. We're gonna talk about how we coped with this loss as well. But you're watching the Weekend Tailgate. We'll be right back.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageRoom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
Guys, you know the deal. Sign up as a patron member, $5.99 a month. 652 people watching this right now. And all 652 of you should be patrons. That's how I see the world. That's how you should see it too. So sign up. You can also help somebody else sign up if you're already a patron by giving the gift of the War Report. I saw some memberships given away. I wasn't counting, but I know we got about like 15 to 20 of them already. We appreciate you guys for helping us grow our community. Guys, when life gets you down, Joy Mode is there to pick you up. See what I did there? Pick you up. Yeah. So let's call out the obvious. Auburn didn't win yesterday, but you can win by visiting tryjoymode.com and using code RAPPORT for 20% off plus free shipping. QB1 didn't do so well, right? But you can do well by putting some of this in about 6 to 8 ounces of water 45 minutes before or after the game, right? And get yourself in the game with Joy Mode. Not only is this the only supplement you'll need in the bedroom, but it also supports your blood vessels, cardiovascular health, athletic performance, and blood pressure. Visit tryjoymode.com and use 20% off plus free shipping with code RAPPORT. We appreciate them for sponsoring the War Report. I don't know. I don't know how many of you guys have sex when you're just feeling bad, but you know.
Can you put
Auburn? If Auburn had you so down, you just couldn't get in the mood. Joy Mode's there for you.
Can you put Peyton Thorne in some water 45 minutes before the game and see?
Yeah. If you need a good anger bang after an Auburn loss, try joymode.com.
An anger bang. All right.
That sounds too dangerously close to something else that we shouldn't talk about. All right. Let's get to some of you guys' comments. TJ Lou says, Mike, is it baby goat time? I think Peyton Thorne is broken.
It's very close. It's very close. But the thing is, and we've said it over and over again, you're running out of time to be fair to baby goat, right? Because,
right.
Look, man, and who knows? Maybe Hank is just him, like he was in that bowl game. They threw him in here. He went 7 for 9 for over 100 yards. And, maybe that happens. I'd like to see him get warmed up. So do you give Peyton a half? Like, again, how bad is New Mexico? Are they Alabama A&M bad? Because
no,
they're not. Okay, right, yeah.
I watched their first 2 games. They're not.
Does anything Peyton Thorne do, is anything he's going to do versus New Mexico?
They're gonna
matter.
They're gonna blitz the ever living crap out of Auburn next weekend.
But even if he handles it, I guess my point is, it's a game you're supposed to win. It's not indicative of what you're going to see.
It's not going to make anybody in the fan base feel better. But
better,
again, this is why I asked the question: what does Coach Freeze need to see? Is he going to say, "Oh, we handled it a little bit better, and we got it right with our blitz pickups and the offensive line, and we'll see where it goes versus Arkansas"? I think you guys you're overlooking the patience that a coach can have with their starting quarterback.
Yeah. And
it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense because this guy has prided himself on being tough. Well, I won't say pride himself, but he's talked about being tough on his QBs.
Yeah.
And it seems in the moment where you would think he'd be tough, he almost seems it's almost everyone else is the issue here. Everything else is the issue. We got to fix this, and then Peyton will.
I ask this question, and I might have asked it on office hours. When have you ever seen Coach Freeze bench a quarterback? It was a running joke of good Bo versus bad Bo when Bo Wallace was the quarterback at Ole Miss and Coach Freeze was the head coach then. Never benched him. Let him go out there and have terrible games because they felt like he was going to come back and have a good game. My issue is, where is good Peyton Thorne? When has Peyton
Last
Thorne
week.
ever given you a Bo Wallace type game?
Versus P5 competition. Just put that asterisk there.
FBS.
Yeah, I mean, it was A&M, and it was definitely his best game as an Auburn Tiger. But I thought it was significant. I'm okay. Look. The question about is it baby goat time and how much of this is Peyton Thorne wear? Like, if he's not going to put it on Peyton, then you need to wear it.
Again, coach or the quarterback.
Yeah.
The only places where this
you
makes sense today.
Yeah, I'm blaming at this point because he assured us again, to your point, Mike, or Ike, I don't remember who made the point, but he fixed everything. He addressed everything in the offseason. So if it's not working, and you argued us that we have our quarterback on the roster already, why would I go in and disrupt the QB room by continuing to bring in people? Okay, so you got your guy. Your guy's not playing. Okay, I'm looking at you now because you were talking a lot in the offseason. A lot.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him now.
Yeah, and I just want to again this because I know how this is going to be played after and talked about, right? Nobody here is on the fire Coach Hugh Freeze train because that is being
accountability in firing are not the same
two totally different
things.
Yeah, right. But this is part, I think, of I think the influence that we have as media, right? We don't let narratives die, and we point out the opposite. We drive the narratives, and we're saying, hey, listen, accountability needs to be had here. That's why those post-game press conferences, to me, are important. You need to answer for this. And I think even sometimes you have stubborn coaches who are just be like, hey, I don't answer anybody but me. Okay, great. They better work then. But other than that, we're asking those questions because, those narratives become national narratives. Now, when we go on Feinbaum and we go on these other shows to talk about what's happening with Auburn's program, those are the things we're talking about. And ultimately, it drives public perception, which will extend or shorten your leash as a coach. I would love to lengthen Hugh Freeze's tenure. But we need something positive to talk about, and that looked like more of the same yesterday.
Yeah.
Every Ole Miss fan I have ever talked to said, look, every good year is going to come with an inexplicable loss. I wasn't expecting it to be Cal, and shout out to our guy Dustin Michaud, because he said he put Cal in his toss. I thought he was crazy for that one, but man, he put it in the toss, and look, he was right. I don't even want to update that graphic.
He's a prophet.
Yeah, look, man. He said
until
I see it.
His lack of trust in what was going to happen with the pass game.
Pass game, yeah. So it is what it is. I think that these kids are being put in situations that are not advantageous to them succeeding. And, again, if you're going to run Peyton out there, you have to come up with a better game plan for him, something he can execute. And if you can't find something that he can execute, then you got to change quarterbacks.
All right, let's run through these guys. Stephen Neely, Super Chat, appreciate you, says Peyton Thorne had as many carries as Jarquez, Damari, and I'm running a blank here. JC combined. Cobb combined. Yeah, I mean, that's last year's offense.
Yeah.
That was last year's offense. Anthony Long says Mike G should send Thorne an invoice for his meal at Vintage over the summer. He mentioned during his complaining about the previous staff, did he mention his inability to read a blitz being a 4-year starter?
Yeah, look, man, I ain't invoicing the man for the steak. God damn it. Pay me back in touchdowns.
That'd be petty to do that. That'd be really petty.
Wait, hold on, time out.
It's so
Peyton said
funny.
during that interview that somehow people got a hold of his Venmo and like the betting community was sending him Venmo requests.
Oh, his
But they're
Venmo
lost
would have went
bets.
crazy. His Venmo probably went crazy yesterday.
Yeah, I was dying when he told me that. He said he was getting Venmo requests from jaded bettors.
Welcome P Rolls to the Warport fam there. So Nina says, appreciate the super chat. Says, I think the problem is if the play is called to throw to Cam Coleman, Peyton Thorne only looks at him to throw to. He doesn't look to another receiver. He doesn't turn his head looking for other receivers.
Yeah, let me go ahead and address this, right? Like, so if you're the type of quarterback where they're telling you who to throw to on a play, yikes. In your fourth year, no. Like a play is called and the quarterback's supposed to throw to who's open.
Right.
Right. But like, I mean, go out there and throw this to Cam. That's probably not happening. So Nina, right? Like he made that decision on his own.
What I will say is probably true is this play is designed to go to a certain person as a primary read. Yeah. But the problem is, and this is probably what she's expressing, he never comes off of that primary. Well, rarely. I won't say never because I can show instances where he has gone to a secondary read. He rarely comes off of that primary read in these Power 4, Power 5 contests. It seems as if he gets tunnel vision on his first read because as soon as pressure starts occurring and he is like, oh, I got to get the ball out of my hands, it's supposed to go to this guy. And when we ran this in practice, 95% of the time, this was open. So he does not go through his progressions. He just doesn't. He holds it and he waits and he waits and he's like, oh, okay, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Play quarterback, man.
TJ Lou says Peyton Thorne looks scared like last year. JT Martin says, how are any of us surprised anymore? This is AU at this point. Hugh is approaching Harsin vibes for me. Can't keep losing because of the same.
Okay.
We got crucified for saying this last year.
This is a victory lap. But I went on 3-man front. Shout out to my guy Pat Smith up there in Birmingham. And like people were like, is Mike a Bammer and all this stuff? And I made a statement. I said, look, if you compare their year ones outside of recruiting, Freeze did not. It was the same as Harsin, if not a tiny bit worse. Now, why did I say that? Well, 6-7, 6-7, check. Right? Bunch of QB issues, check. Passing game issues, check. Right? Blowing the Iron Bowl at the last minute, check. Embarrassing bowl game loss, check. Add a G5 loss to Freeze's resume, and it was a tiny bit worse. But he recruited, so everyone said, just wait till he gets his guys. Now, are they supposed to have all arrived this year? No. Those guys still need time to develop. He clearly needs to figure out something at quarterback. But it was, I don't know, man. I just feel like the quarterback play needed to be better than what we saw yesterday. If that is still the floor for QB, maybe you should have gone out and gotten a QB in the portal, or you're starting the wrong QB. I think Hank Brown is just a gamer, guys. Personally. I think he's just a gamer. So, this is one of those things, man. Like, this sentiment will start to ring a little bit more true. Again, people are really excited about recruiting, and they absolutely should be. It is exciting, the level of talent that he's bringing in. But Jimbo Fisher taught us that no matter how many 5 stars you get, if you don't know what to do with them, it can still look like a losing season.
Yeah,
coaching can lower your floor, right? Or coaching can negate any advantage that having superior talent gives you.
Because you don't have excuses at this point.
Yeah, I'm telling you, right? Like, again, nobody can go out. Again, everybody dogged our receivers for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I said, look, man, I just don't think these guys are they the best? No, but like I don't think they're as bad as everybody's painting them out to be. And now look where we are. Yeah, I posted again the snap count, and everybody's baffled at how little everyone else played outside of Cam Coleman and Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yeah.
But it's how Jay Fair got buried last year. They went to a bunch of 12 personnel, and if you're not part of that group on the outside, you're not going to be on the field. The problem is that there are difference makers at the slot. Now, I'm going to say something else that a lot of people are probably not going to like. And I don't know that Ike disagree with me, but we kind of discussed it in the booth.
I do disagree with you.
Okay, yeah. Like, I'm not sure how effective Robert Lewis is.
You said that yesterday. You said that yesterday.
Position, yeah, over Malcolm Simmons. You need playmakers at this point. I'm just not sure that Robert Lewis is a game breaker for you. You need somebody who go out there and just make something happen. Solid receiver. Is he a starting SEC receiver? I'm questioning it right now.
Yeah, when you don't have a quarterback who can find open receivers, I don't really. Yeah. If you're going to scheme something for a guy who's just fast, yes, Malcolm Simmons is the guy that you need to have in the game. But that is more of a coaching decision about how you're going to scheme, like how you did the first play versus A&M. That was designed. I wouldn't run that particular play for Robert Lewis. No, I would run that play for Malcolm Simmons.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
No, Robert Lewis is not the issue in any of this at all. He played fine yesterday.
He got Robert Lewis killed too.
Robert Lewis was wide open multiple times, and he didn't hit him.
When he did hit him, he got him killed. Almost. Okay, Rick Cazenave says our 5th year at QB should offset weakness everywhere, but doesn't. If they make a season QB change, White has to be in the mix if RPO is the system.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this right now. Walker White's not ready. Yeah, he's not ready. And
again, RPO does not mean that the quarterback needs to be a runner, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Walker White's not ready. And it would be an absolute detriment to his development to throw him out there in any case other than emergency due to injury. Walker needs some time to kind of absorb what it is, what's going on and the speed of the game at this level. And I'm a big Walker White guy. I just don't think that's not he was never going to be the answer for your team this year. Which is why, again, a lot of folks felt like go out and get a portal QB. No, now they have NIL has added kind of like a revenue management aspect to, roster management, where they're like, okay, do we want to spend $1 million right now, or do we want to save that $1 million for 2 years from now when we try to get that top QB in the country? Is it Deuce Knight, right, or is that guy in the 2026 class? And do we need to go get a portal? I mean, when it comes to quarterback, man, you're going to spend money. That's the name of the game. You need $500 to $1 million, Caesar, to go get your QB of the future these days. And, these aren't bottomless pits, the money that they have. So they've got to figure out how to spend it. And they saved, I think what happened was, and Brandon Marcello actually reported on this at Media Days. He said that Auburn, it may seem like they're big spending right now, but they have not spent anywhere close to what they have in reserves for NIL, for what they have planned. They're saving it for future classes.
Ronte comments and says, appreciate the super chat, says it is absolutely no reason not to start Hank Brown.
Yeah, the only reason not to start him is that you're going to go out there and try to do the same things. And maybe Hank Brown helps you, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I think that how they called it yesterday. Hank maybe delivers on some of those deep balls, but
I think there's a temptation to run the same thing because of how well he throws a deep ball, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know, man, but from on all those other plays. If you don't have an option for him to get the ball out of his hands quickly, you're not giving him quick pass options. You're not going to spread the field out, right? You're not going to involve the tight ends more in the passing game and make them more of a threat. I don't know. I'm worried for Hank.
Yeah. Mercy says, I was sitting in the south end zone and saw many times a receiver got open, but Peyton never looked his direction or took too long to throw the ball. And this is something that I'm looking forward to Ike in the film review to confirm.
Yeah, this is why you guys need to be members. Because we slow it down and he does that film review and he looks at it and he says, hey, this is why Robert Lewis was not the problem. There it is on tape for you.
Yeah. TJ Lou says, good QBs make quick decisions when pressured. Peyton Thorne was not making good reads.
I agree with that.
Lawrence Robinson asks, why does it look like Peyton Thorne still can't see free blitzes?
Yeah, I don't. This is, I mean, the truth of this is, sometimes when you're swimming in the middle of the game, you start trying to like just get to the next play, and you stop thinking about all the details that need to happen. And I think that's where Peyton Thorne got around the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah,
where he was so like, okay, let's get to this next play. I don't think he knows how to slow his brain down in the moment to say, okay, did I do this? Did I do this? Did I do this? And this is what the helmet comms are supposed to help with. This is why running tempo actually helps a lot. I was frustrated that they were not running more tempo against Cal. Like, I get it that you have to get to a first down before you get to that tempo stuff, but you're allowing this defense who's been reading your mail the entire game to set up and figure out stuff when you're not going quickly. And I get it. It is Derek Nick's first season as offensive coordinator, but you've got too many guys on this staff that have been in your system for it to look this disjointed on Saturdays. It just it can't look like this anymore, man. Like, it just can't.
Eugenia just gifted 10 World Report memberships. Appreciate you for that. Big homie Lander says the season is over. A sacrifice must be made immediately. That sacrifice is Thorne. We can tolerate an okay season with Hank learning the ropes.
Yeah, he said we need a sacrificial lamb. The gods demand a sacrifice
to atone for price.
yeah. Blood must be spilled.
Solomon Page, appreciate the super chat. He says, plain and simple, fifth-year senior shouldn't be playing at this level, period. Why not groom someone with a higher ceiling and go forward?
Well, this was my entire I said, again, I got called a Robbie. You could say I was slurping off Robbie last year when I said this. I asked the question, how many additional wins did you get from bringing in Peyton Thorne last year? You could have started, in my opinion, Robbie Ashford or Holden Gerner last season and gotten the exact same win total as you got bringing in Peyton Thorne. In my opinion, I didn't see a win that Peyton Thorne got you on that schedule. Right now, the way this offense looks, what are you gaining by having a guy who can't start for you next year still be the quarterback? If you're going to win 6-7 games anyway, and you're going to struggle offensively, start the dude with no experience so he gets some experience so you're not right back in this ship next year with no experienced quarterbacks on your roster. It makes no sense. Right. If the offense is going to be disjointed anyway, at least give one of these guys an opportunity to put some film out there so that you know what you have going in the next season. Or if that guy's like, you know what, this isn't the right spot for me, they got some film to go take to the portal with them. You're doing no one any favors right now by continuing to do this same crap with Peyton Thorne. It does no good for anybody.
You did not go to the portal because you didn't want to mess up the room. You're messing up the room.
It doesn't help your wide receivers that you want to get more experience out there because they're young and they haven't played. It doesn't help your offensive line by having a quarterback that's going to hold the ball too long because then he's going to end up taking sacks. It doesn't help your running game that you need to be able to pass the ball more. Jarquez Hunter's trying to go to the league. That boy ain't sniffing a top 4 round draft pick if he can't get but 10, 12 carries in a game because you can't stay on the field long enough. No one is helped by this. Holden Gerner's not helped by this because he doesn't get an opportunity to see the field. Hank Brown isn't helped by this. Peyton Thorne isn't helped by this. You're just helping him put more bad tape out there for NFL scouts to say, I don't think he got it. There is not a single thing that is being helped by any of this at this point in time. You have two choices right now. Switch up your game plan or switch the quarterback. We'll find out very soon which of those two choices they've decided to make.
Or both. Or both.
Solid Tiger. JP, welcome. Ethan says gotta be some crazy blackmail to keep Peyton Thorne in. That's funny.
Money was spent. Yeah, I don't know about blackmail, but money was definitely spent to get him here, which is going to be the case with any QB you bring in at this point that's worth a damn, right? Like money's going to be spent. So, I don't think they spend a ton. I don't think they spend anything to get Hank Brown here. But that's the problem you face if you're Hank, right? Like, people kept asking, how does Hank end up the starter next year? And I was like, he's got to somehow get in here this year and finish the season as the starter, play well enough to keep, Freeze from going after a big time portal QB or one of these freshmen jumping them. At this point, I find it hard to believe that a really talented, like a top 20 type QB, top 20 overall type QB could not come in and play better than what we saw yesterday. Right? I know true freshmen struggle in this league, but you're not telling me that a freshman QB, what is the kid from last year's class, Dylan Raiola?
The guy in Nebraska out there.
Yeah.
Slinging it. I think he's a true freshman, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I was watching his highlights last night.
That's who I think they beat out Georgia for him.
Georgia. He was initially committed to Georgia. He
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Dropping dots, right? So again, is Deuce Knight that good where they could bring in Deuce and be like, hey, look, man, this is your job to lose because of where we're at QB right now? It'll be interesting to see. But the only way you don't consider, I think, either starting a freshman next year or highly touted freshman, he's just going to have to be one of those top 20 guys, right? You're not, outside the top 100, there are probably 6 or 7 QBs better than you in that class. I don't think that guy starts. But I do think, one of those Cam Coleman type prospects, but at QB, could get the job away from him. You're going to spend either way, whether it's a like Cam Ward type in the portal or if it's a Deuce Knight type from high school, you're going to spend. But yeah, it's you got to have the part of this that's right is it is about money to some extent.
Exclusive TV says all I'm going to say is O-line didn't throw the interceptions.
Yeah, I think they didn't have much to do with a lot of those turnovers, man. It was just, players turning the ball over. 14 points off turnovers.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate the accountability that Luke Deal tries to take. And like you said earlier, bro, okay, you missed a block, but it's not like you missed a block and then it was like a guy had a free shot at him.
Right.
I get it, man. You're a senior leader and all that stuff, man, but don't falling on grenades is reserved for people who need to be heroic. We didn't need heroic moments right there. Everything else he said, I was cool with in that post-game presser, but him trying to be like, yeah, I missed that block. And, no, Jarquez fumbled because Jarquez didn't secure the football and he feels bad about it and he's going to learn from it. But that's not on a missed block.
Yeah,
it's not on the missed block.
It's crazy. When your offense is disjointed and there's no flow to it, you see players do shit like that, right? You see turnovers. When there's no flow to the offense, and then you finally
the problem is Jarquez felt like he had to make something
happen. Right. Yeah.
So he had the ball and he was like, I'm not going down without a fight. I'm going to figure out how to fight for an additional yard. And that's why he fumbled. Again, it was terrible situation.
End of the first half, breaks out for a big run. Instead of getting out of bounds, he stays in bounds because the way the game's going, he feels like he's got to cut it back upfield and make something happen. Right. But the right thing to do there was to just get out and stop the clock.
Yep.
Right.
think it was like 40 seconds left in the second quarter when that happened. So, I think that kind of underscores what you're saying there.
Ronte says the game plan and the QB needs to change now. So he's on the belief that both needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, both facts.
Robert Crumpton says in the middle of the national championship game, Hurts gets benched for Tua in 2023 at South Florida. Milroe is benched after Texas. Coach Nick Saban having the balls to do what needed to be done. Bama becomes better, and so did those two young men.
Yeah, B hates this point, right? I mean, I've said this a million times about a national title game. Look, you pulled a QB who maybe lost the game his whole career at Bama at that point. One, maybe 2 games, and there are a lot of coaches who would just stick with the guy and die on that hill. And he said, look, man, it's a national title game, and I'm not going to sit here and hope it gets better in the second half. He knows his players well enough. I ran into a guy, and I'm trying to connect them with Auburn, but like they have this thing that Bama was doing in the around 2015, where they take up like a personality test, right? The coach takes it, and the players take it, and it tells the coach, essentially helps the coach understand how his players learn, right? And it helps him understand them a little better. And from what I understand in the national title game, because of this assessment that they had done, right, Saban knew, I know this guy well enough because we've done all these assessments and stuff. Like, he's not going to get better in the second half, so I'm going to go to Tua. Right? Like, I mean, he was doing next level stuff at Bama, man. Like, it wasn't getting talked about enough publicly, but, part of the decision making that they go into switching personnel has to do with these personality profiles that they build between coach and player. I'm not going to be able to get through to him in this moment, but I don't, you know what I mean? After the game's too late, so he's got to sit. Pretty remarkable.
Yeah. So Nina says if Coach Hugh Freeze doesn't think the powers that be aren't going to start calling for his head if he doesn't make a change, then he doesn't know how things work at AU.
Yeah, like quietly they may, but publicly they can't without hurting recruiting, right? So like once that message starts to get out there that he may be on the hot seat, that absolutely will be used to negatively recruit against Auburn. And as long as he's your coach, you can't have that, right? People have to believe he's secure in his job and that he's going to be here.
Big homie Lander says Aaron Murray reviewed Peyton's film from the game and placed all the blame on Peyton, not the line or receivers.
Fair.
I feel very similarly to Aaron Murray after rewatching that game on TV as opposed to sitting up in the booth.
So let me ask you this, guys. Let me ask you this question. This is a thought I had this morning. And I'm not trying to plant seeds of issues in the program. I'm not trying to do that. But if you are publicly calling out bad play from the O-line, calling out bad play from receivers running the wrong routes, but don't say much about the play of your quarterback, what does that do to your locker room?
Well, he's got till Monday to fix that, right? Because he's going to say he watched the film and that he could assign blame. And maybe we'll get a very honest assessment of who was responsible for what in the Monday presser. But to your point, if it doesn't sound like there is if he's not just as willing to be critical of the quarterback as he is to be critical of those other positions, it's not going to go over well with that locker room. He was nitpicking that locker room before the first snap was snapped last year, and it did not go over well with that locker room. And all the dissension they talked about was out of the program after that year was over. I think that starts to happen again if you can't hold the most important position on the field accountable for their poor play.
Yeah, and particularly because Hank Brown is really well liked. He's really well liked. So, these guys know what's happening in practice. Now, I will tell you, players did say they felt like Peyton had taken the next step this offseason. Multiple leaders on this team told me that directly. They felt like he had a stranglehold on the offense and what they're trying to do. The problem is when the lights are on, sometimes it doesn't always translate to game day.
Right.
And, that's the final test. So you can be the greatest practice player ever. Guys, I play golf, and I can tell you sometimes I feel like I'm going to shoot 59 on the driving range, and then I get on that first tee box, and a bee buzzing to the side will make me shank the ball. It's different under pressure. It just is, right? Like so, in his 5th year, it's just not something that you expect to be happening to him.
That's my whole beef with this. It's not that he's not playing well. Quarterbacks are going to play poorly. He's a fifth year senior, bro. A 5th year senior who has started 3 years already. If this was his, I am so willing to give people passes. When I gave Peyton Thorne passes a little bit last year, but he was still a 4th year senior last year. I'm willing to give passes to quarterbacks when they're new and you haven't seen this stuff and they haven't played against a certain level of competition. Bro, at this point in time in your collegiate career, reading whether or not it is zone versus man or which side of the field I need to go with or counting the box and determining whether or not pre-snap I need to be handing this ball off, keep it, or throw it to the outside. That should be stuff that you should be able to do quickly. And I just don't understand why Peyton Thorne is not doing that at this point in time in his career, at least not consistently.
Yeah. Philip Coleman says Scooby and Mystery Inc. have determined that Peyton Thorne is the ghost of
Pull that mask off of him. Grant Loy.
Nah, he's not. He ain't that bad.
I don't know. Grant Loy throwing these receivers. When it looked with one touchdown, 6 interceptions for that counted.
No.
I don't think you can play worse than that. I don't think you can play worse.
Grant Loy was having trouble getting the snap to him. No. And it was against garbage time. No. Stop.
Tim Two-Main Taylor.
Okay.
He can't run as good as Peyton. No, he's not. Stop it. It's a good joke.
What was that stat line? What was that stat line, Ike?
It's a good joke.
I think you could throw. I think you could go 1-4 with an additional 2 INTs called back. I think you could do that, Ike.
I 100% could. I probably would go. I probably would throw 7 or 8 picks though, and Grant Loy probably would have thrown 10 of them. He's not good, dog. I'm sorry.
I
get
Grant
the jokes.
Loy, man.
No, I have none. Listen, he's not good, bro.
He's been gone 3 years, and Grant Loy is catching all of the strays.
Y'all started this. Stop bringing him up.
You get all the strays. All right, Tim Two-Main Taylor says, all right, not being funny, but it's time for Peyton Thorne to go get a real job. Give Hank the offense versus New Mexico.
I think that's what it's time for.
Robert Crumpton says Peyton Thorne's post game. It's early in the season. It's only week 2. Hashtag it's only week 2. That's a nod to Dylan. We said it at the half.
Dylan, he conjured that. That is only week 2 at halftime. That was a bad thing. I mean, Dylan, you didn't know. How could you know that it would get worse in the second half? You didn't know. I don't think any of us thought it would get worse.
Yeah, look, I mean, what else is he going to say there, right? Like, he's got to say so. If he expects to start next week, he's got to say, "Hey, listen, we can recover from this," which is pretty much what he was trying to say.
No, you're talking about what Peyton Thorne said about it's just one loss. Let's keep it. He's talking about what Dylan.
You're talking about what Dylan said.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dylan said at the half, and it was just they were giving Dylan his words back to him after the game. Poor Dylan. Dylan started a hashtag on Twitter to try to get ahead of it, but I think the barrage has already come. Frankie Freeze says, I'd much rather ride with Hank and go 5-7 because he's a redshirt freshman than go 5-7 with a senior. Start building Hank's confidence and build for next season.
Seems to be a popular sentiment, right?
It just makes sense.
Yeah, Ike is saying you're running out of time to be fair to Hank. Right. Give him the cupcake. Give him the A&M type opponent. Mm-hmm. That you gave Peyton. He deserves it. He deserves to be able to go out there.
Here's what I'm convinced of. I think Hank Brown throws for 300 yards versus Alabama A&M in that first game if he starts.
Yeah.
I don't think the outcome of the Alabama A&M game changes if Hank Brown is your quarterback. Right. So you can't take that and say oh, well, look what he did in this game. I think Hank Brown would have done that in that first game.
Yeah.
Let the man get out there and spin it, man.
Very unlikely. Freeze with Thorne is looking like excuses for a bad relationship, but we got history. Yep. Bad history.
That's a good analogy. You know, we like the relationship analogies.
We live
That's a
for
good
those.
analogy.
I like this one, Lisa. To get off Payton for a minute, I agree with all said, by the way. Can't have a defensive back drop a wide open pick six to tie.
Yeah,
This is when I begin to realize,
That
you know
would
what?
hurt,
I
bro.
think up to this point, I was like, y'all, Auburn can still win this game.
Players make
When
plays.
this happened right here, I was like, you know what? I don't think we have it as a team today.
Yeah, he might not get a pick six opportunity like that the rest of the season.
Yeah,
It was
that one
wide
hurt.
open field in front of him. Like, I mean, he's a defensive back, so I get it, right? They play that position for a reason, but you're not going to get a better chance at a pick six than that one. That absolutely would have saved the day.
But
All right.
I think what hurts Mike is you've seen DBs be shocked the ball is coming to them, right? They turn around and the ball is there and they're not ready.
Right.
He
jumped that.
anticipated. Yes,
It was a great
he
play.
Jumped
He
it
just didn't finish
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
and didn't finish it. That's what hurts. Is like you did everything, but
That's the
secure
second
ball.
week in a row a DB basically
Yeah.
like this one would have probably gone for 6, but that's the second week in a row that a pick was right in the hands of a defensive back, and they was just like, no thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, because that would have changed things significantly. Because then, if we're tied up, we can run down the field for a field goal instead of having to pass to come back. Like we can win that game if he makes that catch and runs it back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Brandon Carter gifted a membership. Thank you, good sir. Eugenia says Coach Hugh Freeze can buy groceries, but he can't cook a meal.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. But
That's a good one.
but he's rich enough to hire a chef. Oh, God damn it. Get somebody in there and cook. Can't cook it, pay you enough to hire a personal chef.
Yeah. We just want to eat. We don't care who prepares it. Just have some good food for us. Black Wing says even Malcolm Johnson Jr. had a good game against Penn State yesterday.
Malcolm is a good receiver. Right. And he's talented. I mean, he's like a track champion as well, too. Like he can run. And again, I'm telling you, he's another example of a 4-star kid who maybe wasn't the best, but like had a ton of talent, and the system was just not going to allow him to be great. So, you're seeing it. You're seeing it hinder even the best of talent. Like, just got to get it together.
Rand Brown says if we wanted to save NIL, should we have gotten Pavia?
Ha! No.
I mean,
Diego Pavia would have come in and ball. I think
Yeah,
Diego Pavia is a
yeah.
really good quarterback,
He's
and
good.
he would have run the
Sure.
system effectively. So,
But
but it wasn't going to happen.
Right. Thank you. We can think all we want to think. What does the head coach think about all of this? Maine says these recruits saying Peyton Thorne should have been pulled.
Is
I
this
think-
like
I think
what
the-
you
I
think
think
the
the
recruits are saying, or
receiver-
is this what somebody actually said?
I think the recruit, the receiver committed to Georgia Tech may have said something like that.
Yeah.
I think he alluded to that. So no, that's not hyperbole. That's that a recruit did. I don't know who else said that, but I do know he said that. I can't think of the
Interesting.
name.
Interesting.
man, the the analogy here is that you got a homeboy that's doing too much, and he
Sam
usually
Turner.
play too
Thanks,
much,
Ant.
and he usually play too much, and it's like you put up with him because that's your boy, but then when you get in front of girls, he act like you're like, hey man, not in front of, hey, you gotta chill out and just calm down, man. Like Hugh Freeze, it's cool to ride with Peyton Thorne in practice and in cupcake games. Hey, this is a real game, man. And we got recruits here. You embarrassing us in front of the recruits. You better pull this, man. You're making us look awful. Awful. Oh.
Yeah. Kirsten Lewis says Hank or Holden needs to be taking some first string reps this week in practice.
Yeah, I mean that is going to be a question I think that I ask tomorrow. Any plan to give first string, like split first team reps at QB, that'll tell you a lot.
Solomon Page says definition of insanity: freeze with Thorn.
Yeah.
Scotty Wayne says, how long before you lose the locker room with Peyton Thorne? And this is the question. This is what I was alluding to. Not that I don't think the players don't like Peyton Thorne, but how Freeze is going about handling this.
Yeah, here's something that maybe doesn't get talked about. When you get guys like Cam Coleman and these like super highly rated recruits, they're not used to losing.
Right.
They're not used to losing. They win. That's what they do. Central, I think they had Max Preps has them ranked like the 18th best high school program in the whole country right now.
Well, actually, let me alter your statement a little bit. If they're used to losing, they're at least used to getting the ball all the time, so they know that they did everything that they could to help them win, right? Because what's your boy's name down at Elbow that just scored 10 touchdowns and they lost the game?
Alvin Henderson.
Yeah. Alvin Henderson. Like there are some guys like Perry Thompson was on a terrible team. He was just the man on that team. So like some of them they've been accustomed to losing, but they're not accustomed to only getting the ball 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I don't know. At the college level, I don't think that if they're good players, then if they're good team players, they're not going to care if they get the ball 20 times and then you're losing games, right? They want to win, and I think that
they want to win for sure.
I think it's just frustrating to lose. Period. Right. So, when you're putting a losing product on the field, and then to your point, combined with not getting the ball or getting the opportunities, at least, it sucks. It sucks. And this is where, I mean, look, man, I don't think that prospective recruits care as much about what the team looks like now because they're being sold on a vision and a dream. I mean, proof of concept matters, but they don't care that, like, if you're a QB coming in, you don't care that Peyton Thorne sucks. You care that you believe the coach knows what to do with QBs, and you believe him when he says that. But where it's going to start to hurt you is that in this new era of NIL and essentially like a free agent system, are you going? You're going to have to re-recruit your team like a motherfucker this all season. Like, you're really going to have to go after it to keep Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and all these guys on the team in the offseason. Because I'm telling you, coaches are going to be tampering.
Oh, they probably was
behind the scene. Yeah, right. Yeah, to get these guys and be like, hey,
you sure you made the right decision?
Yeah, right.
See what my quarterback did.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to be real difficult for them.
Wide receivers are going to be flocking to Nebraska next year.
Yes.
Yeah, to go play with Raiola. Yeah,
because he looks like he might be the truth. Yeah.
Rick Kazanave says the Thorne false hypothesis, he threw for 3,000 yards. He needs to get back to that. No, he had NFL All Pros in that team and no scout book on him yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Wasn't that his first full year starting?
Mm-hmm. It was.
Yeah, 2021. But he Kenneth Walker at running back too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brandon Carter says Payne Thorne is probably a better bowler than QB. This is actually kind of funny. That's actually pretty funny there. Ben Bloodworth says, y'all, when we got the ball back with 30 seconds left, I joked out loud, we have enough time to throw one more interception. And then he did.
It was such a terrible one too. It was like, oh my God. I don't, like I said, the one positive thing I will say is that when you saw Peyton Thorne on the sideline, he was actually trying to encourage his teammates the best. He didn't go hang his head. And I mean, if I'm giving him credit for anything, he kept as good an attitude as he possibly could have had on that sideline. He didn't pout. He didn't, you know what I mean? He did what he, I don't even know what you do in that situation, because when it's you, right? But
that's when you don't talk to don't talk to me.
And when it's you, right? So it was difficult. But when on rewatch, I was watching him on the sidelines, and I was just like, good for him for at least trying.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna
don't get down, okay? It is my fault. We can do this.
Not you, it's me. Right.
That's what I need to see the wide receiver talking like, hey, you dog, is you. I want to see that. I would have liked to see that. We're not gonna see it here because I mean all our wide receivers are young except for just 1 or 2. But man, is there what accountability can the quarterback have? The only person who can hold the quarterback accountable is the head coach. What can players do to influence that? Like if they just like, hey, coach, I ain't going out there if he's the quarterback. I don't think we've seen that level of insubordination here. I do it. I'd be off the team probably, but I'd do it.
Yeah. Anyway, listen. Any other thoughts, B, before we jump? It's been a longer show, but we're here for you guys. You guys had a lot you wanted. The Jones podcast just became a member welcome. We was going to do a copium segment, but you guys, I think this is the copium that we needed here. You guys getting your thoughts out, letting you be heard. It'd be interesting to see what happens after the presser tomorrow. We will definitely be covering that throughout the week. And we will be back on the midweek report to talk New Mexico. So, Ike, you want to give people some news before we head out?
Y'all definitely need to be doing all the necessary things like becoming members. We appreciate the members. I know. Everybody's like, I don't want to rewatch that crap. We gonna watch this film. You gonna take your medicine. We're going to watch the film tomorrow, man. So y'all make sure you get your Green Name Gang active. If you aren't Green Name, maybe somebody will gift that to you and you can come in here and enjoy all that stuff, including halftime, right? Like I know we give the members an opportunity to vent during halftime and we leave it open as kind of open as like a little chat session. That chat was hilarious, by the way, during halftime and during the second half. So y'all make sure y'all lock in with the Green Name Gang. And we do stuff like office hours where we just allow you to come in and talk about whatever. So a lot of great member benefits that are out there. Hopefully somebody can gift you all of those things. Tap in with the entire network if you want to listen to audio versions of all this stuff that we've got going out there. Auburn Express, Uptempo Podcast, College Loop, Just a Sec Pods, all right here. And we got the gaming pod channel right now as well on YouTube if you guys are into gaming. Maybe you don't want to watch Auburn football anymore. You just want to play the video game as Auburn so you can win all the games Auburn was supposed to win. You can go and check us out at the gaming channel because the guys over there are playing those games frequently, and that will be awesome for you. And one last shout out to the folks at Golden's Cast Iron. Get your weight up is 15% off if you use that code TWR. Get you $65 off the Kamado grills and fire pits.
Before you get out of here, y'all, please be sure to share. Before we do that, if that happens again, I'm tempted to be like, you know what? I'm just going to hop back on the live and just, how ESPN does this thing where they, the guys be watching the game live and giving their thoughts. May just start doing that. May just since it's kind of behind the paywall and everything. May just start doing that. Just be, man, look at this right here, man. Just have an office hours on the spot like that. Yeah. So I may think about doing something like that. But anyways, share this. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, you can find us on X, Instagram at The War Report. We're on TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys. We will definitely be back to update you with news throughout the week, and we will see you on the midweek report. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. As always,
peace.